Welcome to another day in the Matrix, waters above crypto. Wishing you all a beautiful start to your week. I'm sending you all love and high vibrations. In my last video, I shared some insights on why I thought the Bengals would lose the Super Bowl based on a Gematria decode that I shared about Skull and Bones, and also the Facebook Metaverse Year of the Tiger decode that I shared a couple weeks ago. The symbolism was what made me go with the Rams, and now we know how that all turned out. So in today's video, I'll dive deeper into the numbers of this Super Bowl with a Gematria decode to start out, and then get into the charts of Bitcoin, Ethereum, and XRP to follow up on the full moon technical analysis that I went over in my last video, where I mentioned that I was not anticipating Bitcoin to continue on an uptrend until after the full moon, which is in a couple days. And even with the Super Bowl crypto promotion and advertisements, my gut was telling me to follow the moon. The moon cycles are incredibly accurate and can't be ignored, so I'll be covering all of that in today's video. So if you're new here, we do cryptocurrency technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, Numerology, and Astrology to understand these markets. Feel free to subscribe and turn on the bell notification to stay updated on when new videos come out, and make sure you give this video a like and share this channel with other conscious beings to help grow this community. And for those of you that want to learn how to do technical analysis and combine it with Gematria, you can join my Mastermind course. The link to my website can be found in the description box of this video and in the pinned comment below for access to the Mastermind course. And with that being said, let's take the red pill. So in my last video, we were covering Skull and Bones, Secret Society, and Yale, and around the 27-minute and 40-second mark of that video, I mentioned that I thought the Bengals would lose because of this big connection between Facebook, Metaverse, and the huge stock market dump that they had around the transition of the Year of the Tiger. So if you remember a couple weeks back, I released some content about Facebook and Metaverse because of a commercial they made where they showed a tiger getting above an ox, eating an ox, essentially showing you that the tiger is winning in that scenario. And then we had the transition into the Year of the Tiger, the start of the Chinese New Year, which was on February 1st, and leading through that time frame into the 2-3 date, and then into the 2-4 date, February 4th, we watched Facebook take a huge dump. And this was a historic dump, biggest loss for the company to date, and biggest single day loss for Mark Zuckerberg's net worth as well. It's very dramatic, and it was completely ritualized. So this entire video that I made, the last video that I shared, which was on February 10th, I was basically describing how I think this is symbology that the Bengals would lose. So around 28 minutes and 15 seconds of that video, I said that I would not be surprised if the Rams won because of all of this. So also, that Skull and Bones decode was all about the 2-2-3 and the 3-2-2. Again, that was around the 4-minute mark of that video that I made. So the whole code I'm going to just do a quick recap of so you guys can see, but basically the day before the Super Bowl was leaving 322 days left in the year. So you could see that right here. The Super Bowl was on the 13th yesterday. The day before that was the 12th, and that was 322 days left in the year. And the day right before that was 22 weeks and 3 days since the start of Rosh Hashanah. And I'm going to prove without a shadow of a doubt how important Rosh Hashanah this past year was, and how this current Hebrew year we know is absolutely critical because it is the start of shmitah. And this energy that we have is just immense with ritual. I mean, it's undeniable at this point, especially with the turnout of this Super Bowl by the code. So again, the 11th of February was 22 weeks and 3 days, leading into the transition date of the day that has 322 days left in the year. And what's amazing about this particular transition date has the 43rd day of the year, and 43 is the 14th prime number. And the total score between these two teams was 23 plus 20, and that is 43. Now, these are two huge connections, because in my last video, I was predominantly talking about Skull and Bones and the Yale Secret Society and the 2-2-3 and the 3-2-2. And if you were to stack this number on top of that number, you're going to see 3, 2, 2. And if you were to stack this number on top of this number, you're still going to see 3, 2, 2 or 2, 2, 3. So The skull and bones connection that we made leading up to this date gave us not only the score broken down, but the actual total score of 43 points. Again, this 43 being the 14th prime number. All right. And what's so amazing about all of this is not only is that the total, but the actual Super Bowl was Super Bowl LVI. That is the Roman numerals. And LVI in English ordinal is 43. Again, the total code. So let's break it down by the points. 43 is the 14th prime number. RAM is 14 in full reduction. Okay. And remember, this critical number of 322 gives us the 7, and RAM is 7 in Chaldean. So we have a bigger connection here. And they're called the Los Angeles Rams. We would call them the LA Rams, and LA Rams gives us 14 in Chaldean. All right. And this whole ritual was absolutely important because the Ram is Aries, and Aries is 43 in English ordinal. Again, coming back to the final score of the two teams, and LVI equaling 43. This being the 43rd day transition date into the day of the Super Bowl, with 322 days left. Again, the score being the 322, the 223. So we'll keep going. Aries, god of war, anthropomorphized as the ram. And this happened on Super Bowl Sunday. Sunday being the day of the sun. And again, 14 showing up. We have 43 being the 14th prime number. So you're going to see here this kind of like repetitive code time and time again between the 43 and this 14 and 41 connection. So I'll keep going down even deeper. Los Angeles, we were showing you LA Rams gives us that 14. And Los Angeles is known for its entertainment, the entertainment industry through Hollywood. And Hollywood is giving us 43 in Chaldean. Again, another connection. The stadium that this event happened at was in Inglewood, California. Inglewood is the 41, the mirror of the 14. And what else? We get the 104 in English ordinal. Again, 104 in rules of numerology. We remove that 0 and we get 14. This is all about the total score, guys. 23 and 20 is 43. LVI equals 43. That's the 14th prime, and we're seeing these 14s all over the LA Rams. Again, with the 14 and Ram giving us 14, 322 adding up to the 7, and even 32. The mirror of 32 would be 23, which was the score they had. This will get even crazier, trust me. So the Super Bowl was actually on the 44th day of the year, and we're going to break down how important this is. So it was the 44th day of the year, and Los Angeles is known to be the city of angels. Okay, the city of angels gives us 44. So of course the city of angels wins on the 44th day of the year, and Los Angeles was actually incorporated. You could see this right here. You have Los Angeles, California, and if you go down, you're going to see they were incorporated on April 4th, the 4/4 date. And this incorporated thing is very important because it proves that this whole system, this whole scam that we live in is under maritime law. It's no longer in the law of the land. So this incorporated nonsense, the same thing with your full birth name being written in capitals on the birth certificate and the social security card. This is because you're a product, right? This is all completely parasited by these individuals. And it's amazing that this continues to perpetuate solely because we do not have the knowledge of this. So this whole connection here about the 4/4, I'll break down even deeper. April 4th, 1850. Let's write that date in here. So again, City of Angels gives us that 44, and the City of Angels won on the 44th day of the year. And when we're typing in that date numerology of 4/4, the date they were incorporated in 1850, we're going to get the standard date numerology of 22. Okay, now this is where the 2s come into play. So this was the 22 date numerology. And this 22 is massive because, of course, this year is the 22 year in the Gregorian system. And in the Hebrew year, it is 5782, which becomes 22. And everything that I've been talking about in the beginning of this decode and for the past couple months comes back to Rosh Hashanah, which was the start of this particular year, the 5782. So the day that the city of angels gets incorporated is the 22 date numerology. And it just so happens that they won the Super Bowl in the 22 year, not only in Gregorian, but also in Hebrew. And this will be the second time that the Rams won the Super Bowl. And the last time they won the Super Bowl was in the year 2000, which again, in the rules of numerology, just comes back to 2. So how ironic is it that they won 2 Super Bowls and it was in the year 2000, which is the 2, and in the year 2022, this is all about the 2s, okay? So this is an amazing connection all here through the numbers and the code. And also the last Super Bowl they won, they also scored 23 points, all right? So the one that they won in 2000, they scored 23 points to win, and the one that they scored this year was 23 points to win. So let's get even deeper into all of this. I want to show you guys some symbology here. So we have, this is the Rams logo in 2000 when they won that Super Bowl, and I just want to point out how I'm quickly perceiving this. Again, this is the Rams horns, but oh, and just one really quick note talking about the ram's horns. This could be a ritual about the horns, actually. You see horns equals 22, okay? This is, I know it sounds kind of silly, but this is important. They might be winning 1 Super Bowl for each horn, okay? And this is one of the ways to perceive it. You have the left horn and the right horn, or the subconscious and the conscious, right? And this comes back to the horns of Baphomet. And it could get even deeper than that. I mean, you have the 74 again, that's tying back to Lucifer with 74. But that was just a side note. Really what I want to show you guys here through this symbology is what I am seeing is a crescent moon, okay? I'm seeing a crescent moon, and I'm going to show you by the code how this all comes together, okay? So we're going to go with moon, and let's just look at this code. Moon equals 57, all right? The day of the Super Bowl date numerology was 57. And let me type back in the last Hebrew New Year, 2021. You're going to see it's the same date numerology of the 57. Okay, so this is in the symbols, guys. This is what I'm trying to show you. Also, how many weeks were between Rosh Hashanah and the Super Bowl? 22 weeks. Again, they won their second Super Bowl. And the first one was in the year 2000, which is the 2, and the second one, which was in the year 2022. And the team they beat scored 20 points. They beat them by a lead of 3, and I'll break down that as well. I just don't want to jump around too much because there's so much to say in this obvious ritual. So here we have the date numerology of the 57, again, moon equaling 57. Then you see the 21 in moon, and again, the amount of games they played to win this Super Bowl was 21. 16 plus 5 equals 21. This was for the official NFL season of 2021, and they won the 21st game, which was the final game, the Super Bowl. All right, so in the 21 year, they won the 21st game. All right, and this is coming back again to this tie to the moon with the 21. And big connection here is moon equaling 23, and that's the amount of points that they scored in this Super Bowl, and it's also the amount of points they scored in the last Super Bowl. This is moon worship, okay? I know they're hiding it in other terms, such as the ram being the city of angels. This angel they're talking about is the angel in the heavens, which they say is Mary, but it is not. It is Libra, and that's a whole other story. But what's going on here? There's so much to say, even through the colors, coming back to Aries. But Aries being the god of war, Mars, there's some connections here that I was making a little bit earlier by the code, but I'm seeing a moon here, and this moon is undeniable. And I know that this is all about worship of the sun and worship of the moon. Again, Ra, Ram, this is Ra, all right? And I know this is all coded in. I know it is all coded in. This Rams being the 1551, again coming back to moon 5115. It's all tied in to the sun and the moon. The sun pillar and the moon pillar. That's what this is all ritualized as all the time. So this is definitely deep. Let's get back on track. Again, the moon breakdown with the 57 date numerology. They won the 21st game of the season for the official 2021 year, and then they scored 23 points, the same points they scored in the first Super Bowl they played. Now, this is all really interesting how you guys could continue to use all of this code for the players on the team, all of that. I actually do not even watch sports. I didn't watch this game. I don't keep up with sports anymore. So everything that I decoded last week discussing this Bengals losing and the Rams winning was just purely based off of Gematria decoding that I do. I even said in my Patreon video yesterday before the Super Bowl happened that I believe the Rams will win. I said it flat out. And it was all based on this esoteric, breakdown, but also the code through the big dip that we saw in Facebook after releasing that Year of the Tiger decode that I made. So there was no emotions in this. There was a little bit of intuition, given that we were seeing some connections between Bengals and Tigers, but they were losing, just like Facebook was losing. And Facebook's investors were losing throughout this entire shakeout that happened. So it's just showing you that if you side on the side of the Tiger or the Bengal, you lose, right? And that was where my gut was pointing, that the Rams win. The city of angels will win. And this is all broken down in the code. So it's pretty obvious here. We have this 322, the 322 in the score, and everything that I broke down with LVI, the 43. This total score is 43. LVI equaling 43. And even the amount of days between, the connection back to Rosh Hashanah through the 43. So remember, you have 43 and you have Rosh Hashanah equaling 43. And this connection between the Rosh Hashanah and today being 5 months and 6 days, which leads up to Super Bowl 56. Again, the upset win for the Rams. So this is pretty interesting how it's all tying together, even in these connections throughout the months and the days. I mean, it's absolutely mind-blowing stuff. So with that being said, you guys can now utilize this and continue on your decode, and I would love to know some more of your thoughts in the comments about this. Now, let's get into the next day that I think is super important, and that will be this upcoming full moon. All right. And the reason behind this full moon, again, is going to tie back to the Tiger, because we're in the Year of the Tiger, and this bigger connection here through the code of the day of the year being 47, which is the 15th prime number, and the standard date numerology being 15. All right. Then we have Tiger equaling 15 in Chaldean. And we know that this was important because of all the work that I was sharing with you guys last week. So this is where it gets deep. All right. The amount of days between is 5 months and 9 days going back to Rosh Hashanah, the 59, and Tiger equals 59 in English ordinal. Okay. So we have the 15 in Chaldean, that 15 date numerology, the day of the year being 47. That's the 15th prime number, and it being 5 months and 9 days. Again, this being 59 tied to the Tiger, and everything about this Tiger has been seemingly negative, right? I'm not saying that it's bad. Nothing is bad and good. It's just generating more of a negative energy, right? Facebook taking the huge loss, the Bengals losing, and the Bengal being the Tiger, and this Tiger all kind of coming to fruition in this regard. Now, one of the other things that's pretty obvious here is with this, just one final note before we get into the TA and my final breakdown of this upcoming full moon. The Super Bowl 43 point connection, and 43 being the 14th prime, a majority of the time during the Super Bowl, if not the entirety of the Super Bowl, Bitcoin was trading at 41 points. Okay. So it was the 14, and Bitcoin has a direct tie to the 23, and that 23 you can see in Bitcoin in Chaldean cipher. So we knew that was huge. We knew that was huge, that connection right there. So the entire Super Bowl, Bitcoin was trading at 41. And 41 is the mirror of the number 14. And this comes back to sun, and it was on the Sunday. Again, 14th prime, coming back to that 43. I'm just saying this because I want you guys to remember these connections, how we could use this to our benefit in whatever it is that we're decoding, whether you guys want to decode stocks or sports or news, or particularly I focus on the finance. The reason I'm focusing on the financial side of things predominantly in crypto is not just because crypto is a place to make money. Cryptocurrency is the future of our economy. So you want to be focused on that for that particular reason. We have the upcoming financial system will be the quantum system, and we're moving blockchain. So everything will go blockchain. So I'm utilizing my Gematria, my decoding to get ahead of the rest, to get ahead of the masses so that I can protect myself. And money is not everything, guys. That's not what this is about. This isn't about getting obsessed with money. It's just remembering that we've had every shmitah, huge financial chaos, maybe not necessarily on a global level, but at least on an isolated level. And we saw what happened in 2008. That was during shmitah, the housing market crisis. We saw what happened in the dot-com bubble in 9/11. That was during shmitah. And this keeps going and going and going, and you get to world wars happening around these time frames. So before it gets ugly, which is typically after the end of shmitah, right at the end, which for us would be October, November, December, that time frame of 2022. So we're actually quite close if you have a long time horizon outlook, but you know, it's only some months away, guys. And it's the ones who prepared themselves financially leading up to those big events who were protected for their whole life. The people who weren't paying attention to this and weren't taking this seriously lost everything they were working on their whole life. Whether it was their house that they were dealing with or their retirement. I mean, in 2008, they literally stole people's pensions, proving that the government is just going to rob you when they fuck up. So don't be a part of that chaos. This Gematria Numerology Astrology code that you can use can actually prevent a lot of these issues for you. So that's the whole point of going over it. That's the point that I'm making these videos every week on YouTube for free so that you guys can see how this all works and you could utilize it to your benefit. And although I'm very, very, very I appreciate everyone's support. I'm super grateful for anyone who becomes a patron or purchases any of my courses. I know you're walking away with an immense amount of knowledge in those materials because I've taken so much time to put into my work. And through that energy, it sets the mind free. And a free mind can make you free, truly free. It's even in the word freedom. Freedom is not freedom, it is freedom. It is when the dome is free. The dome is your crown chakra, okay? So this is what it's all about, guys. Knowledge and wisdom, utilize it. Keep the emotions on the sidelines, okay? React in love so that you could protect yourself, so that you can make it through these chaotic times in the world, whether it be hyperinflation, war, market crashes, whatever's going on. This code allows you to actually see deeper and prepare yourself accordingly. And that's what's so mind-blowing about it all. I know we could use it on petty stuff like sports and whatever, but the point being here is just to prove to you how it's operating. For so long, I actually never talked about sports or even about stocks. And just last week, I did comprehensive breakdowns showing you guys the code for a stock and even this upcoming Super Bowl and how accurate it could possibly work. I mean, even the price targets we were seeing to the downside for Metaverse by the code were hitting. And I showed some TA on that too. For it to hit $220 or $222 in that pocket, and that was before it even got to those prices, and I said it would hit 240 first before going to 220. That's exactly how it went. Why did I come up with the 2.4? Was because of the connection to Jupiter. Again, Tiger, the striped planet, is Jupiter. The Jupiter zodiac logo is 24. Facebook stock trading into $240 before rolling over to 220 per share, coming back to the Hebrew year 5782. Okay, that was what the whole code was, and we saw it play out. So this is important stuff, guys. Pay attention to it, use it in your lives and the things that you find important, and you'll be able to get ahead. So just really quickly, in the breakdown of this full moon that's coming up, we do have some connections, not only just to the tiger, again, the 47 being the 15th prime on the 15 date numerology, all of this coming back to the tiger, and that 15 right there. We have the 5-9, which is 5 months, 9 days to shmitah, but we have full moon giving us something important, coming back to the earlier part of our decode, 43. And we're going to see Bitcoin probably hit 43K before potential a little bit more downside. So with this being said, full moon, that 43, again, tying back to the total score, the 14th prime, this last Super Bowl that happened yesterday. And all of this was setting up into today, which is Valentine's Day, which is all about Eros, okay? And today is the 14th day of this month of February, okay? That 43 connection is huge. And then also one other thing, this is called the snow moon, and that snow moon's giving us 44. And again, the Super Bowl was on the 44th day, all tied to that connection to Los Angeles. And another name for this moon was the storm moon, again, 43, not only in Chaldean, but also full reduction, which is the second most important cipher for me. So again, this 43 connection is immense. It keeps showing up over and over and over again in all this work. So I'm anticipating this upcoming full moon to have some pressure on the market. I have a short-term downside bias, but I would not be surprised if we saw Bitcoin hit 43K really quickly, just tapped on it, and then a short pullback. And I'm talking about bullish pullbacks, like a back test that is completely technically driven and good, a healthy pullback, not crashes, not huge dumps. That's not really what I'm anticipating at this time. I believe by the end of the month of February, we're going to see things looking pretty solid for the overall crypto market. But this upcoming full moon, again, it is what it is. We're always seeing the 5-day window either before or after the full moon giving us some bearish energy. So I'm expecting a little bit of a downside move between now and then. Oh, also quick note about my last video that I released around the 38-minute and 30-second mark of this video. I was mentioning when the price of Bitcoin after it hit 45K, I was saying that I do not anticipate it to continue more to the upside. I expect a retest of 40K into the full moon before we break into new highs, 47, etc. So that was around the 38-minute and 30-second mark. Go watch my last video, especially the timestamp that I gave before with the 27 minutes and 40 seconds, where I was talking about the outcome of the Super Bowl and how I was anticipating the Bengals to lose and the Rams to win. So let's get into the TA, and I'm going to break down with a little bit more data how I'm feeling about this. So again, last week, we were talking about this 44.4K level. That was a really important level. We didn't ever get any daily closes above that level, but we were seeing that that was a good resistance. And that reason for that was because that was the closure highs in the local high structure. So this was our local highs around January 11th, January 12th. We've retested those, and you could see this wick that we got on the 11th or 10th of February was right within these wicks here, which was a prior support. So you can see it was clearly rejected recently and confirming that level as a short-term resistance. So this high right here is really critical to take note of. It's right around the 0.5 fib, that 0.5 fib level. Of course, if you do traditional TA, that's really important for like dead cat bounce. And of course, if you're closing above it, the next level you gravitate towards is typically the golden pocket between the 618 and the 786. So right now, what we're seeing is this is playing out really according to how I was anticipating, where we got some bullish momentum. We went a little bit higher on wicks than I anticipated, that I could definitely admit, but overall it was just within a couple percent. So for people who are patient and know how this actually works, this is crypto. It's extremely volatile. It's almost impossible to be perfectly accurate with price targets. That's not even what this is about. This is being able to determine the energy, when to de-risk, when to re-add to your positions. Period. End of story. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency will always be extremely volatile until it becomes heavily regulated. and everyone in the world owns it. But right now, while it's a nascent asset class and there's a lot of leverage, a lot of, funny money in the market through stable coins, etc., we have to expect this kind of volatility, and we're pretty damn close to the accuracy here within a couple percentage moves. So one other thing I'm going to pull up is I'm just going to hide these drawings, and I'm going to show you guys the moon cycles indicator. This was something I brought up in my last video, and this moon cycles indicator back in February of 2021 was something that I brought up in the last video, and how I was basically just revisiting the same theory. So with that being said, on the 11th of February up until the top right here, it took about 10 days after the new moon. So from here, the new moon was on the 1st of February, and we saw 9 days after that was the top, and then we got a rejection. And here, after that rejection, we went straight down into the full moon, and that isn't sort of what we're seeing right now. This was different. This was a straight line breakout with a huge amount of liquidity and market cap injected into Bitcoin. So this pullback was much more, extreme than what I'm anticipating now. And I'll get into the technical targets in a moment. But we're seeing this February play out exactly like last year's February. So this is really interesting. Typically, we see a 5-day window for moon cycles, with 5 days around a new moon being bullish and 5 days around a full moon being bearish. And this February was an anomaly. It was the 1 month where we saw a huge discrepancy. Well, not huge, but we did see a discrepancy where it was a 10-day move. All the other times, it was literally within 2 to 3 days of a new moon, we hit a microcycle top. Within 2 to 3 days of a full moon, we hit a microcycle bottom, over and over and over again. You could see it. Boom, bottom, pull back, bottom, pull back, bottom, pull back, the big dump. Again, the double bottom, both on full moons. This correction on full moons, moving up into every new moon as well. So we know that this cycle works, and it's amazing to see that this month of February is behaving exactly like last year. It helps us a lot as analysts to see how algorithmically based this market still is. It's completely running on an algorithm. The human intervention is very little, and that's proven by the price action. So let's get into what is to be expected here. So Bitcoin coming back into these levels around 41.5 is very healthy. Seeing the way that it's come back into this levels with this kind of curvature is definitely nice to see. We knew that there was a bearish divergence playing out, because right here on the RSI was sitting around 51, while the price was sitting around 51, 52. And lately we've seen the RSI get to 65 while the price was at 45. So again, we have an RSI uptrend with a price downtrend. That's the bearish divergence, and I was anticipating to at least correct back to the 40K level before we do continue breaking out higher. Now, I can't really necessarily say that this condition isn't met, because Bitcoin did come down to 41.5. So what is 40 from here? I mean, we're talking about an additional 3%, 4%. Bitcoin can do that in a single day. So let's wait until the full moon, which is in a couple days, and see how this plays out. And we could even see up until 5 days after the full moon, we get that bearish energy. We've seen it happen before. For instance, right here, we have the full moon in January was sitting around the 17th, and we see that we bottomed out around 4 or 5 days after that. This day right here was bullish. So even though it was the wick lows, it still got bought up. But we see the bigger dump right there into that day. It was only about 4 to 5 trading days after. So if we were to have that same condition met from the 16th over 4 days, we're looking at like the 20th of February. And that's an important day, because that's the 20. So that's the 2 in the second month, February, and the 222 year. All right. Then another thing, that will be 2 days before Pluto's return, which is 222. Okay, and that's all in the Hebrew year reduced down to 22. So given the code, I mean, I would not be surprised if we went up to 43, just because of that big connection to the Super Bowl. During the whole Super Bowl, Bitcoin was trading at 41,000, the mirror of 14, and then 43 is the 14th prime number, again, the mirror of the number 41. And it's all like tying back into this recent Super Bowl. Again, it's all about these esoteric connections through the code. So remember, RAM equals 14. It was, we went over that ad nauseum. Now, that would be great to see, and then rejection, and then that would just be multiple lower highs in a micro downtrend. Now, we did get a little bit lower than the cycle low, or the micro low back a couple days before that, but it was just a quick moment. We do have a wick right here around the 39.9 level. We'll call it 40, and we have this wick back here in September around that full moon. That would probably be the downside target to kind of fulfill the bearishness in the short term. Something kind of like pulling back here, and then having a V move to the upside, breaking this level right here would play out an inverse head and shoulders move, which is the way that I see this moving forward. And I do see this continuing to the upside after the full moon into the end of February. If this condition is met where we bottomed out today and that is it, that is great. I really don't care. The quicker this market moves to the upside, the quicker Bitcoin moves into its bull trap area, and the quicker the alt season happens. And that's what matters most, is being able to de-risk out of this market with all of the years that some people have been waiting to get out of this market and missed taking advantage of these tops. So I'm speaking to everyone with these videos, not just you individually. We all have different portfolios that have been built over different time horizons, and this information is for everyone, okay? And that's my overall thesis into the month of April, something where Bitcoin hits into these 50 to 60K levels, followed by an alt season on suppressed altcoins such as XRP, XLM, even coins like Chainlink, Polkadot, etc. Okay, so this is kind of how I'm seeing it play out in the next couple days. Full moon is in 2 days. It'd be great to see a little bit of a move to the downside, but if we've met that condition today, a couple days before the full moon, that's completely fine. We know that this 41K target being hit is perfectly ritual with all the numbers that I've been sharing with the mirror of 14, and let's just see how it goes. But overall, that is the play. We want to see this inverse head and shoulders play out, and if we're going to get bearish move to the downside, it could happen really quick. It could go 40, it could go even 39.2 and play off this wick right here, which is the local resistance high before we had the breakout. So that's in the cards as well. 39 to 40 would be beautiful. I'm not saying it will happen. I'm saying that's the technical, and that's what ties to the full moon behavior. So, well, it looks like they updated TradingView. Like while I was making this video, they started putting little symbols. Okay, so let's get into Ethereum really quickly. So we see ETH actually slowed down. This is nice because this isn't a true V-shaped recovery. I had some people asking like, oh, Jordan, you said there wouldn't be a V-shaped recovery. Yeah, well, a V-shaped recovery is also a break of structure. Okay, this is just another lower high. In order to be a true V-shaped recovery, we have to break the local high, close above it on macro candles like a 2-day, 3-day, etc., and then have continuation. Okay, this was just a rejection and then followed by a backtest. And even the backtest lows have gone lower than this dip right here. So what am I seeing? Another inverse head and shoulders playing out. Okay, something like this. This is a really clean pattern looking as well. So we see the neckline is down sloping. So you could take account for that with like a trend line if you wanted to draw that on your charts. Now, if Bitcoin's going to come back to 40, this is going to come back to 2,700 most likely. And that 27 is huge because, again, Jupiter is the 27. And we could be seeing that all play out because Jupiter, again, the tiger, the striped planet, and everything is about this tiger right now. So that tiger has had negative implications in multiple examples. That would be great to see, but this condition could have been met as well because you see these wicks are right within that local high right there. That's a clean bounce off of the resistance before the breakout, so that would be your level. So we've technically come back and back tested that level. That's not me saying I have an immediate long bias because we've seen chop before. Lots of chop with coins like ETH and other altcoins where we look like we're breaking out, but we actually dance around a little bit and we have some short-term moves to the downside because of the lunar cycle. So let's keep that in mind as part of our analysis as well. If Bitcoin wants to come back to 40, we could see this come back to 2,700. That would be a beautiful level to bounce, and that would essentially be in alignment with something like this. And then we have our shoulder tops, something like this. And we could see the move go like this. and then once we break above that neckline, we want to see movement into the golden pocket. Okay, and that golden pocket is right there between that 3,800, 3,300 level. It's huge. It's a big volatile trading range, but it is something to consider as part of our analysis. And this would be a inverse head and shoulders breakout. I would suspect we would also clear this bearish divergence if we were to do so. So again, we have RSI highs going to 52 there, but the price is at 4,100, whilst this local RSI top is at 62, but we see the price is much lower. So we have a divergence there, which is bearish bias. So I'm not saying that we're going to dump to hell. I just think we have technical pullbacks to fulfill the healthiness of the breakout. We want healthy breakouts, not just straight line or straight dump breakdowns. We like to see structure as technical analysts as investors, of course. It's a much more mature market when you have structure. So XRP has been interesting, really, really interesting coin. We could see this trend line that I have drawn has been textbook so far. I'm going to show you guys this really quickly, and then I'm going to quickly wrap up this video. This trend line is going back to the yearly high of 2021, multiple rejections, 3 touch points confirms it as a trend line. I decided to extend the trend line, and we've seen after the larger dump, we've gravitated towards it, played around this trend line for months, even having a little bit of an attempt of a breakout, but that rejection at the 382, another lower high. So we have high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high, confirming this is a macro downtrend essentially. Now, after rejections off of this, we came back down, and then another rejection followed by a double bottom retest. So if we were to look at like a weekly chart, this would be your first bottom in the macro. This would be your second bottom in the macro. And where have we just gravitated back up to? Exactly that trend line plus daily closes below it. What a shocker. So this trend line is very good. I know it's not to the wicks, but that's not how you use trend lines, guys. When I don't like using trend lines that much, so when I decide to use them, it's because I know they count. I know that they matter. They actually can become part of my overall analysis, not just drawing lines on charts for fun. I like to have a rhyme and the reason for them, and that would be all the things that I just explained. So now with Bitcoin coming down to potentially 40K, I would anticipate a retest into 72, even 71, followed by a bounce. So somewhere into that full moon territory, which would mimic all of these wicks down here, and we could tell that that's a pretty key level of support. We even tried to backtest it on the 12th and had a beautiful bounce from there, and a little bit of a bullish fake out over the weekend on XRP. XRP was surprising people, and that also doesn't surprise me as well, because X is the 24th letter, and Jupiter again comes back to the 24 zodiac logo. So big year for XRP again with the 22 and that 24 connection. Now, of course, 20 plus 22 the whole year is 42, and again 42 mirrored is 24. In alchemy, you're always mirroring, never mimicking. So that's why I'm always mirroring everything, because there's a reason for that. Not only as doing numerology, but also just looking at it from a more esoteric perspective. So yep, downside target would be somewhere around 72 if it wants to get more dramatic. And the 76, 75 cent level should hold pretty well in regards to daily closes, etc. But I would love a back test down to 71 plus a bounce. And then any continuation above this level right here would be a full-blown bullish breakout. And I think XRP is going to move after that. So once we get above that level, I think it's game over. I think after $1 on the daily closes for XRP, it's going to quickly start moving up to yearly highs. Which again, I think will break that 2021 structure. So in the short term, just a short term bearish bias. We have the full moon in 2 days. It could come to fruition in the next 2 days. But outside of that, we've come back and back tested some key levels. So we're just in a trading zone right now, kind of going sideways, consolidating, not breaking out bullish, exactly what I thought. And let's see how this plays out. So I hope everyone has been enjoying the last couple of videos I've put out. Tons of information, really comprehensive decode today, helping people out with how to perceive the code when you're doing sports breakdowns. And again, anyone who wants to become a member of the Patreon, I just released my latest Red Pill episode yesterday. We covered a bunch of altcoins. I'm really excited for the monthly close that we're going to be doing soon, because I think that analysis is going to be very interesting moving into the month of March. March last year was super interesting. March 2 years ago was like our whole lives changed with the start of the pandemic. So I don't think this March will be any different given that it's in the shmitah year. So I have some upcoming decodes to share over on Patreon regarding that. And I also released my 2017 XRP bull run breakdown, which started in March of 2017. That was when the decode started, and we're moving right into that time frame soon as well. So I do have an interview later this week with Coach JV over at 3T Warrior Academy. Anybody over there, go and check out his work, or if you want to catch the interview, that'll be coming up on Wednesday, I believe. So sending you guys lots of love, wishing you a beautiful rest of your day. Much love.